What is up, everyone? Welcome to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 375.
We are up there. We are plaid.
Oh my God. We did it again.
I almost wore that shirt.
We have this.
We should have wore the same shirt.
We should have
made it special for Sally.
We dress up for Sally every time she's on the show. We should have just done it. Is this the same thing we wore last time she was on? Yeah, probably. Speaking of Sally, our guest tonight, Sally McRae, we are so excited to have her on the show. She's a wonderful friend and human being, and she's got so much going on in her life right now that we were like, this is the perfect time to bring her back on the show. We had her on before Badwater. She has since won Badwater, so we'll touch on that in tonight's show, as well as created a new app, a new podcast, has been just crushing it in her content creation, and we're going to talk to her about her new career paths and relocation and everything that's going on in her life. It's a lot. It's very exciting. Also, it's pumpkin season, and we know how much she loves pumpkin. So we thought perfect time to bring her on the show. Sit back, relax, everyone. Ginger Runner Live begins now. Ginger Runner. Yay! What is up, everyone? Welcome to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 375. Thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your busy Tuesdays to spend some of it with us. Happy Tuesday. We're very excited about tonight's show because we get to talk with one of our friends. Anytime we get to, to be totally honest, I think we're very lucky. We're very fortunate that the show, we get to bring on friends. We get to chat with them all the time.
Yeah.
I have to say that our guest tonight, though, is by far one of our favorites. She lights up the room, even though we don't share the same physical space. She has the ability to brighten all of our lives just that much more. Sally McRae is joining us on the show tonight. We're very excited to have her on. So much to catch up on from the last time we had her on. It was like weeks before Badwater 135.
Sally dropped a lot of really good knowledge about heat training.
If you need any advice right now as we head into winter about heat training, go back and listen to that episode. It is.
I mean, some parts of the world is heading into summer.
This is true. I forget about the Southern Hemisphere. But Sally's advice for heat training is unparalleled. So she has since won Badwater, which is one of those lifelong career highlights, huge resume bullet point that goes to the top of the resume. And so much more since we last had her on the show. So we thought it was a perfect chance to bring her on and catch up. But before we introduce Sally, of course, we are not alone here. We have you, our live viewers. Kim?
Hi.
Hi.
You're really nailing the intros for me lately. So it's a little bit confusing.
And then over here, there's a computer and we have all this and we're live. Kim.
Hi, everyone. Kim Tashima Newberry here, as always. Ethan is on a sugar high over there with his hot chocolate at the moment.
Kim. It's a constant reminder. Like, I have to remind, like, your name is Kim. Kim. Just nailing it. Just nailing
welcome,
it.
Everyone. Because we are live, you can ask questions for our wonderful guest, Sally. And if you're new, say hi in the chat room. If you're a returning visitor, say hi in the chat room as well. We already have some great questions rolling in, so keep them coming.
Yeah. We have a bunch of questions from our Discord server, which if you would like to get onto our Discord server and participate in our GR crew discussions that are happening 24/7, 365, all you got to do is join the Patreon crew. It is because of them that we're able to do these live shows. So we like to thank them at the top of every episode as well. Our GR crew located over at patreon.com/thegingerrunner. With a top tier, we like to recognize at the top of every Ginger Runner live episode as well. Brian Sands has been a longtime supporter, really inspiring individual, currently training for some pretty big races, including, I believe, Cocodona. I don't want to spoil anything, but Brian is just a awesome guy, and we're so lucky to have him in our lives and part of the crew. And Rick Bjarnason is a British Columbian ultra runner who owns a company called cheekymonkeymedia.ca, a web design company. They redid the gingerrunner.com website. You can go check that out. But Rick is, again, stand-up individual. We really appreciate Rick and all his support, and Cheeky Monkey Media is definitely a fantastic company if you're looking to do any sort of web design or web maintenance, anything like that. Check them out. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest coming to us all the way from no longer in Oregon.
Somewhere else. Background looks different.
The background does look different. Sally McRae.
Yay!
Yay!
Hi, you guys.
Hi. Okay, bye.
Bye to you.
Trying to get a show before everyone came on.
I'm dying to know. So first, you've relocated. Let's just start there.
We can tell because you're not wearing a flannel shirt.
You're clearly not in Oregon anymore. Otherwise, you would have had one of these two patterns on.
Right?
Where are you?
Freezing. I'm back in Huntington Beach, California, literally 100 meters from our previous house before we moved.
No way.
Neighborhood. Yeah, it was a very quick turnaround for us from California to Bend. And this is something I did not share with people because I didn't want to jinx myself. Or actually, I do need to show you guys these first. Not okay, I already made that. Yeah.
Cool pumpkins. What else you got?
I literally have all that stuff in my kitchen. I should go and grab it right now. I am not ashamed. And yes, I've had the pumpkin spice latte from Starbucks every time I get that free drink. Oh, you know, I'm getting at an venti extra 2 shots of espresso. They're like,
I like that you wait for the free drink to get it, whereas like real professionals just get it no matter what.
Well, I'm talking when I get like the gallon of
The
it.
giant one.
Like, yeah.
Can you just give me the pumpkin sauce? I know you guys call it sauce. Can I just have that? And just put it right in there.
That in my drink when I go race. Yeah, so we are. Oh yeah, so what I didn't share was that before I ran Badwater, we decided it would be such a good idea to move back to California about 4 weeks before I did the race. So
oh my God, it was that soon.
stressful. Yeah, so we literally did a state to state and then back again, all within I think it was 11 months. So it was a little stressful for those of you in the chat room that have moved out of state or just very far. I'm sure that you can relate to, just the tiredness that comes with that and going through your stuff. And, we ended up getting rid of a lot of stuff. I think that was the one good thing through all of it. Wow, it feels so good just to purge and get rid of this. But overall, it was a bittersweet move. I will say that. I in my heart, I really wish that we were still there. But with everything going on in the world and a lot of the uncertainty, we felt like our kids are teenagers and I'll make this part really short, but our kids are teenagers and we were like, we need them to be close to grandma and grandpa and cousins. Yeah. And we don't know what is going to happen in these next couple of years. So we just thought we need to make sure they're fully surrounded by family all the time. So it was hard because they adjusted really well. They made new friends. They were snowboarding and it was fun living in the seasons. And of course, one of the greatest things that came out of it was just working alongside Eddie and renovating our home. And so many great things came out of that. And actually, when we moved back here, he decided to stop teaching and he now works with me. He helps with my business. So that's probably the best thing that came out of the move, because that's something that I've really been praying for many, many years, is that we could work together. Yeah. So we still have our house up there. My daughter wants to go to school up in Oregon. So secretly, it's my hope that maybe we'll be able to move back there again one day. But yeah, I just did a post. You never know unless you go. And I'm not just talking about running, but Bend was somewhere that Eddie always wanted to live. Since the first year that we were married, he wanted to live there. And I think, when we were all grounded at home with COVID, it was the first time we were able to just go and explore that idea. Yeah. And we just got lucky finding a little place to fix up and then just make a big, massive life leap of faith. And I'm so happy that we did. I'd do it over, 100 times again for all the things that came from it. So. Yeah,
we never fault anyone for pursuing a big life change. As we've made huge life changes in our past. And
yeah, I think it's a good way to, I don't know. I know it's stressful. Yeah. And I think some people, when they found out we moved back, were like, "Oh, you moved back, huh?
Couldn't handle it.
Oh, you couldn't handle it, huh? You went running back." No, we've moved before. My daughter was actually born on the East Coast. our first year married, we up and moved to Washington, D.C. And that was crazy. Everyone thought we were crazy. And we lived there for 2.5 years. And so I think moving to Bend this time was because we made that move so early on. And we're like, I want this adventure in our life. I want our kids to know that when it comes time for them to make a transition or big changes come in their life, that they're going to be okay. You're going to meet new people and it's going to be hard, but you're going to learn and you're going to grow. And there's a lot of refining that comes from that that's necessary to get to where you need to go. So a lot of really good lessons, but I know you guys have done that too. And it's easy
been
and wonderful.
It's the moving out, like from state to state
or country to country
right,
is outrageously stressful. And to think now, realizing that you did this weeks before Badwater, which we had you on the show. Were you moving while we had you on the show? Like, were you packing boxes under the camera?
Like at that time,
that's crazy because
it was
your
crazy.
focus on Badwater was so. It felt unwavered. All of your consistent training, your like purposeful, diligent training for this event felt, unwavered. But to know that you were in the process of moving and packing and doing all of that, which is extremely stressful, is just a whole other dimension of holy crap, Sally, look what you did. Not just winning Badwater, but with all that, that's crazy. That's awesome.
Well, I think that's a really good point and something I always love to talk about because when I get to connect with people on social media, that is something that people say to me. They say, my career is just, it's so busy, it's stressful, or, I have 4 kids, or I'm going to school right now, or just, I don't have this, I don't have that, I can't do this, and I can't do that. It's like, man, I have been met with every single type of situation in my life that I could say like, this just isn't the season. And I don't think that life ever presents us the perfect season. I think that's why we're not born with manuals. I mean, if we're born with a book with directions that actually showed us, okay, and then this is going to happen, then you'll do this. I mean, our lives would be, so different. But I do believe in finding a way. I think if you really love something and you believe in something you do, and I think from the time we're little too, there's always we always have these pulls in the same direction of things that we just naturally love or gravitate toward. When we pause and take a look back at our lives, and I've been doing this a lot lately, especially in writing my book, because I share a lot of stories from my childhood. There's been a few stories that I've shared that I'm like, oh my gosh, I was doing that even when I was little. Like, that's crazy. But, or like I always kind of had that desire. I always operated this one way. And so when it came to Badwater and then having to move into all this stuff, I'm like, I've been here so many times where it's not ideal. My life this is so busy. And if I share this with people, they're going to think that I'm like a lunatic and I'm running myself into the ground. But I'm like, this is like what I've always been about. This is how I know how to operate. So I would go and I'd spend half of the week in the desert, and then I'd fly home and I would pack and take care of all the home stuff and mom stuff and kids. And then I'd go back to the desert and then come back. And then it was like, okay, now drive the U-Haul down. And then literally the next morning, okay, drive out to the desert, and there's a couple times my kids came with me. Like, that was the other thing too. Like, people didn't realize I was bringing my kids, I was bringing my husband, like we were just in that together. So it is stressful, I think, when you look at it from the outside, or you even think of like, oh my gosh, it seems so huge, but it's just taking it one step at a time. And that's what I had to do. I just had to take it 1 week at a time, because when I looked at it as like, I need to race Badwater, I really want to win this thing and move my house, I don't think so. But I had to look at it 1 week at a time, or else I think I would have had a heart attack.
Obviously in hindsight is 2020 as well. Like, being able to look back and go, oh, all of these things were a success. But even in their trials and tribulations, I feel like knowing you thrive when things are busy, right? Like, you like being busy and having a lot of things going on, whether it's training for a race or starting an app or starting a podcast. Like, you're the type of person that when you are busy, you are firing on all cylinders and crushing it. And I think looking at the last 6 months of your life, it's like, that's a perfect example. And I imagine your kids look up to you beyond belief. Have you had that conversation with them of, have they addressed, oh my God, Mom, we just did so much. How crazy is this? Like, are they learning? Are they absorbing like sponges, or how are they through this whole process?
I think my kids, it's very normal for them. That is, you know, my people more and more now that my kids are getting older, they, you know, they'll ask them these questions or, and I joke, I'm like, I'm going to do a podcast and bring both my kids on and let people ask them questions because it is, I think when you grow up in your home, that's the way that you first understand the world is the way that your parents show you, you know, your worldview and just how everything operates right down to like, well, this is a normal dinner, right? Like this is the dinner everyone has. Right. And then it's like that first time you go and eat in your friend's house and you're like, oh, it's like, and so I think with my kids, they've only known me this way. They've only known a mom that's, you know, I don't do PTA and mommy groups and like I don't do like the neighborhood gossip. I'm just not. I'm a different mama.
Rise above.
So, yeah, I really do want to show them that when you become a parent, it doesn't mean that you can't pursue the things that you love anymore. Being a parent is such a gift. My kids are my greatest gift. They keep me grounded and stable and fill me with joy. But I love being able to show them this is how you pursue dreams in every season of your life. It looks messy and it doesn't always look the same and it doesn't need to be perfectly structured on a to-do list or in a paper. It doesn't need to look like how everyone else is doing it, but you do have a responsibility to the things that have been given to you and the natural gifts that have been given to you. You have a responsibility to use them and to use them in a way that impacts the world. And so, you know, my kids are big dreamers like me. I will say that because it's something we have an ongoing conversation about in our home is, you know, is that planning and goal setting and preparing. And so it's fun. Now that they're a little bit older, it really, the conversations we have are just, they're fun. Yeah.
I also, I think I love knowing you now for, I don't know, 8 years or 6 to 8 years or something like that. Almost a decade that we've known each other.
Probably, yeah.
And seeing,
oh my gosh.
I know. Even just as my brain sort of processed it, it kind of went, don't say decade. Don't say decade. That makes me feel old. But yeah, it's been a long time. To see all of this progression with you as not just a human and a coach and an athlete and a mom, but also like the career paths and to know that in the last 6 months, so much has happened and you've really put these goals in front of yourself for a long time and you have like manifested them in the last 6 months. We're talking the app, the Sally McRae Strength app, the True Strong podcast, like all of these things are such big endeavors. Gus also wants to be a part of the conversation. He's like desperate. We might bring him up here in a second. But to know that all of this, your whole journey has sort of led you to this year and this year of all years too, with the pandemic and everything.
Yeah, I think
so
that's
difficult.
the other thing too. It's like, it's not just moving. It's not just moving to a different state. It's not just running bad wires. Like there's also like the pandemic is
so
happening.
much. It's a testament to your skill and ability and stick-to-itiveness. I do want to start talking about the app, where the idea came from, what makes it different, what makes it special, and the podcast, of course, as well. Because there's one thing I love is talking about other podcasts on this podcast because people love to listen and learn, and you are such a great source of knowledge and inspiration. We'll get to that on tonight's show. But of course, we are live with Sally McRae, and Kim has pulled a bunch of questions aside. So let's start diving into some of the live questions.
Yeah, maybe we can actually just start with the app first, because there are questions in the chat room saying, Sarah's saying in the chat, I think I've missed the info on Sally's app. What's it called? So can we start there?
Sally McRae Strength, tell us about it.
Yeah, so Sally McRae Strength app, you can get to it through my link tree, which is in my Instagram bio, and you can just click that button there and see it. But yeah, Sally McRae Strength, it's so funny because this is definitely one of the bucket list things that I've had, goodness, for almost 2 decades, I'd say. When I was in high school, one of the things that I thought I was going to be was just an aerobics instructor. I love coaching. I love training. I love fitness. I always have my entire life. After, gosh, I'd say like once I had Mackenzie, I would do anything in my being to not have to go back to work. Because at the time I was working in an office.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I'll do anything to be a stay-at-home mom. Like that is just like my dream. I want to be able to stay there, but I did need to bring home an income. We just weren't able to make the bills without it. So I decided, okay, I'm going to get certified as a trainer. So I got certified as a trainer. I spent a couple years doing that and getting running certifications. So then I launched my own business, which was a women's fitness business. It was outdoor boot camps. And then I would also take them on the trails. I'd have them do these mud run races. Like I did that for a few years, and it was amazing because I would get up like at 3:45 in the morning, and I would train all morning. And my goal was, I'm going to have a business so that I can work when nobody needs me. So I would come home at 6 and still everyone would be sleeping. And then I would be with the kids all day, and then Eddie would leave for work. And I would, be mama at work. And then when Eddie would come home, I'd work on training plans and workouts and work on the business. So I did that for years. That was like my ticket to being a stay-at-home mom, but also really fulfilled this passion that I had. I loved being able just to pour into people's lives through the avenue of fitness, because I knew that when it comes to health and wellness, the physical part is actually a very small part. The bigger part is getting to the people through their brain and through their heart. That's where the biggest change comes in. That's why you'll even see that the other thing that people talk about is like food, but even food is such a big emotional part for people. And so I really love that part. And the clients that I'd start with are still my friends today, dear friends that I love. And so that is really kind of where that started. That's then what kind of catapulted my running and coaching business. So probably around like 2013, 2014, I think I had talked to Billy about this, and we made like a few YouTube films on it. It was called the Better Body, Better Athlete series. You can find a few of those videos still. I think even Outside Magazine had thrown one out. So this is like 7 years ago. That whole space of being an endurance athlete and lifting weights was at the time not very popular. When I would take my running certifications, when I went to the coaching courses, people would look at me sideways when I'd bring up the importance of strength training. And so many coaches in the room were like, oh, I'd never put a weight in my runner's arms, in my runner's hands. Like, we just don't do that. And then when I got signed with Nike, I remember getting out of the car. This was my first day, like on the Nike campus. And one of my teammates, who's a very good friend, this is not a dig on him at all. He's a very good friend of mine, but he was like, dang, dude, your legs are huge. And I was like, okay. And welcome to the running world. Like, and I was like, yeah, man, like I played soccer for a long time. He's like, yeah, I played soccer too. My legs never got that big. And I was like, all right, awesome. And then the next day we had this photo shoot. And I remember being so nervous about this photo shoot because I was like, dude, this is Nike. It's not like they have 5 followers in social media. And I remember that picture that they put out. I was leading, because I was the only girl on the team. I was leading the guys. And it's this picture of me descending a hill, and 4 of my teammates are behind me. So I'm in front. And they posted this picture on the Nike running Instagram account. And it was comment after comment like, she's huge, she's big, oh my gosh, who is that? That's not a runner. And so that kind of triggered me. For a couple of years, I was a little insecure about that. I was insecure about the way I looked more over in pictures. Thankfully, having had an incredible mama who always told me, just be who you are. You're fine just the way you are. You don't need to change what you are. But I did spend a couple years talking to coaches and talking to sports nutritionists saying, can I lose some of this muscle? Can I lose some of this? And everyone said, well, you need to stop strength training. And then some nutritionist said, I'm not going to work with you because I think they thought I had like an eating disorder, because I come in and be like, can you take the muscle off? And they were like,
yeah.
No one ever asked me that. So it was like this journey. And then finally I was like, you know what? No, like I became a pro looking the way that I look. I didn't have to change anything about me to win. And so why would I change something right now? And so then I really embraced it. And so I think in the past few years, as I've, different conversations are happening on social media. And I know there's a lot of like body image talk, but I think for me, I've never wanted to come in and bring so much attention to look at my body and look at it in this picture. What about this angle and this filter, and like talk about how social media portrays the body as much as the important conversation is to know who you are and to understand that your value does not rest in comparing yourself or what other people say, but your value is there from day one.
Mm-hmm.
And if you own who you are, you can hold your head up in every single situation, be like, yeah, this is me, this is what I look like, and there's only one of me. I'm freaking valuable, and I'm just gonna lay it down right now. And so that is really where Sally McRae's strength came in. It was, I wanted to build an app that isn't just like the physical side of training, teaching people like the importance of like, hey, this is how you build up your body, but also bring in like the mental side of it and really just encourage, like I want to encourage people just where they are in their journey. So building an app was really difficult. All the research that I did that for a while, and I was like, dude, this is so overwhelming. And thankfully, I was able to find a company that pretty much just has a template. So I'm able to upload things. Everything's kind of already laid out. So I get to spend more time just, building that content. And, in my hope, I just want to own that space. I want to come into the running world and be like, yes, like you can be 150 pounds, 5'6", and be strong and go crush it on a mountain and just be who you are. But we don't need to spend so much time on talking on what we look like as much as what we're doing. And I think that's so much more powerful. Talk about what you can do with your body, not filters and what it looks like and what it should look like and what it shouldn't look like. That's how we make change, is let's just do more.
I've loved there's been a lot of different discussions and conversations about this specific subject, and especially on the social media that specializes in how people look, whether that's Instagram or TikTok or that sort of thing, where body image and how you're portrayed in a photograph or video, it's part of the algorithm and it's part of how you find success, which is it's broken. It's a broken system. But there's some fantastic conversations that are going on with some leaders in the sport, and it's so refreshing because it's so different than what we were dealing with 5 years ago, which is exactly kind of what you're describing. People are much more aware that strength comes in all shapes, all sizes, and a mountain body is anybody that is out on a mountain. It's not like, it doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to be photographed a certain way. It's just strength, and it's the ability in your own mind to get out and do these things physically. And I don't know, it's refreshing because I've dealt with body issues my whole life, and we have a portion of our audience who does constantly as well, and we talk about it a lot in our Discord. But having something like this, I think, is crucially important to prove that anyone can find that strength within.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that you say that too, Ethan, because I've met and had really good conversations with many men who have struggled with it too. I think, and just on a personal level, for what I stand for, like my messaging, I'm all about conversations with men and women. Like equally, we need each other. We're both strong. And I think that so much of the struggles come in both sides. It's just that I think men tend to be a little bit more quiet about it. It's not brought to the surface as much, but man, I hear it all the time. And so when it comes down to it, it's just, we as human beings need to turn the focus on, dude, what can your body do? Like I'm tired of that conversation. Honestly, I am. I'm so sick and tired of the posts of over and over again of just the body image and people just, people doing the side by side of this filter and that lighting and look at this and it's like, no, like sometimes those posts are like, it's still like a very insecure point of view. Like we're talking about someone that is still hurting. You're talking about someone that is hurting so much and they're so upset that they're going to push it out and be like, everyone is doing this. It's like, no, like it isn't everyone. It's pain that you have that you're bringing to the surface. And what you're saying is you are so fixated on how everyone thinks of you. You're so fixated on not being able to pull yourself apart from social media and realize that social media is not where you're going to find your worth. Social media is not where you should be sitting on every single day. If you know who you are, then you don't need to go to social media to get confirmation or affirmation or even find purpose in your life, because that is where it will never be there. And so I think, especially, I'm a mom of a teenage girl. And so for me, this is something I'm telling my daughter all the time. Listen, I know you know that all that stuff is fake. I know you know that that stuff is staged, that that is not real life. Remember who you are when you walk into a room, when you open up your phone, because that's what matters. And you can't turn around and blame the world because of the way that they curated a post, because it is in your power to either receive or reject something. You have
Yeah.
the power to do that. At the end of the day, you're responsible for receiving and rejecting the information. So you're going to receive what you know is not true. And are you going to receive comments from strangers who don't know who you are and let that rule your day and how you feel about yourself? Or are you going to stand in truth and remember who you are and your purpose here, and that you have so much to offer, and that the best situations are lived face to face with people in real life, that true connection? That's where you're going to find joy, and the people that know you and love you. And you know what? When it comes down to it, it's a really small circle. And so I think that, just we need to encourage just different conversations. We need to encourage, like, use your body to reach out, strengthen your body, not just for yourself so you look good in your jeans, strengthen your body so that you can help your neighbors, strengthen your body so you can run with your children and hold people up. I mean, all of those things are so much more, uplifting, because we can talk about, oh, what this person said. I could talk about for hours the things that I've had to deal with body image wise.
Yeah.
I know downright what it feels like. Since the time I was in middle school, people have always commented on my body, always. And then, having had over 20 jobs in my life, the amount of sexual harassment that I have endured, and even now, if I go out and run in shorts and a tank top, I live in sunny California, I am harassed 98% of the time when I go out and run. Do I bring all that to social media every day? No, because the conversations are so much better, and I don't absorb what comes in and around me. I'm actually going to raise up a better conversation. How can we treat people? How can we be loving and kind to one another? How can we encourage each other to be strong? How can we talk about our bodies in a way that is more powerful, and kind of just, shake off those comments from strangers, and really rise above the things that aren't true on social media?
It is hard. I want to preface that what you just said is amazing, Sally, and of course we truly agree. And I just want to acknowledge that it's also very difficult to do that, but it is not impossible.
Very difficult.
I'm constantly having a conversation in my own brain with those exact same things. Kim does as well. We have these discussions just amongst us all the time. How can we create a place where this conversation can happen? How can we not contribute to this type of culture? There's so many different things that we're actively talking about. It's so important to have that conversation. I just love what you said, Sally. You mentioned that you talk to your daughter about this. Does she hear you? Does she hear? Because I can only imagine. She's 12, 13, 14?
She's 15.
Right.
Oh my God.
I know. She's going to be 16.
We've known each other for like a decade.
Yeah.
It really has been a long time.
I'm not talking out of the side of my neck here. Like, it is real. And I will say it's very difficult. Because for me, it feels like an uphill battle.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say, like, I talk about this all the time and it's great. Like, she's amazing. No, it is a battle every day. It's a battle because she goes to school with 3,000 people.
Yep.
And has social media accounts. Like, we gave our kids phones because we wanted to educate them. Like, at first I was like, I don't want my kids having phone. I was so like, I was pretty firm, and I'm probably a little bit more strict as most parents, I'd say, even from like her friend. She's like, you're so strict, Mom. And I'm like, yeah, but I give her stuff because I want to be able to educate her too, so that when stuff arises, I'm like, okay, so let's talk about it. And the same with Isaiah too, but they operate so differently even on their phones. The stuff that they look at, stuff that they absorb. But I'd say that when it comes to social media, the comparisons and the stuff that they see, and her always comparing herself. I see her when she looks in the mirror and we have conversations about it. Like, it overwhelms my heart all the time. I feel like, gosh, I just feel like it's a losing battle, because it's in their face all the time and their brains are still developing. And, and then then you look at adults online. You look at adults, and even people that are like celebrities are like, yeah, so I'm taking a break from social media because I literally am having a mental breakdown. I'm like, oh, awesome. So you're 48 and you're taking a break because you can't handle it. And my 15-year-old daughter, I should think that she should
Yeah.
do this. Like, it's just, yeah, it's very difficult. And even kind of going back on what you were saying, Ethan, so much of what I push out there, that messaging, hey, this is what needs to happen. You're right. All of it is much easier said than done. This isn't just easy to be like rise above and and then you're fine. No, you're not fine, because it is a day-to-day basis. It's everyday work. It's every day getting up and having to acknowledge and take note of these things as something serious. It's not just something that you just tell yourself once. There's a reason why there's like a plethora of feel-good quotes. I mean, they're all over the place. You scroll through social media and it's like a million different, oh, that I love that quote. That was so encouraging. Well, guess what? Scroll through five more posts and suddenly you're totally discouraged. Like,
Yeah.
because comparing yourself to something else. So it's like, even those words are so fleeting. And so for me, I tell my kids, I'm like, you have to take time away from your screen. So we do limit their time. We do watch the hours that they spend on it. And we say, you have to do real life stuff. You have to sit around the dinner table and have dinner with us, which we do often. And we go on family walks and bike rides. And it's just, I know at times it's like annoying to them, but when they look back on their lives, they're gonna be like, oh, that's why they did that.
Yeah.
Because life is lived with real people, face to face, with people who know us, who are reminding us of who we are. And we need to remind ourselves of that too. Nobody in the world is perfect, and nobody is without flaw. We all have our weaknesses. We all have our times of struggle, and that's real for everyone. And that's why we need each other. That's why we need to spend time with one another. I just spent time with 5 of my best girlfriends 2 nights ago, and it was like, man, like all of us at the end, we're just all like hugging, and we're like, we need to do this more often. It's like, but during that time together, we're sharing like the struggles and the stuff that's going on in our life. It's like, oh man, it's so nice when you have real friends that you can share this stuff with and just really hash it out. And I think that that's what I'm trying to convey all the time is like, listen, you're always going to have critics everywhere you go, all these people that don't know you. And like I was saying earlier, I get it so much. It's just constant comments. It's so much that when my kids are even out at the grocery store with me, they're like, Mom, why do people always come up to you? Mom, why do people have to say that kind of stuff to you? And for me, it's like, that's such a great like teaching point is, even when, for my kids, I'm like, well, that person didn't really mean it to be mean to me. That person was curious, or that person might be struggling. Maybe that person is looking for encouragement, or, and we have to remember that any connection that we make with someone, we can actually turn around to make it good because it's in our power to do so. And so I think that, wanting to redo a lot of these messages online, like if I can be a voice, even to just help just a little bit, that's what I want to do. And that's really why I pushed out the podcast, and that's why I pushed out the app so fast, because I think that now more than ever, social media is so loud. And the things that are being pushed out, I don't agree with all of it, which is fine. I think that it's okay to have differing views. But man, I just want to hear more of like, what's the good that we can talk about? How about I know the body stuff. I know it's huge and it's complicated and it's messy and all of that. But like, how about we just talk more about the good stuff? Like, keep having that conversation, but let's talk more about the good stuff. What are you doing with your body? So I think right now that's definitely where I am with my kids, is just, let's talk about what's real. Let's talk about what you're doing and keep moving on.
It's wild to be, I feel like I didn't realize a lot of what you're saying. I didn't realize until the last like 5 years or so, even more primarily than the last couple of years, as we've really had to sort of reshift our lives and focus really internally into family and friends and what are the most crucially important parts of our spheres. Growing up in the 90s and early 2000s is even though that wasn't that long ago, I say that and I'm also like, it is a fucking long time ago. It is so different than what our kids are growing up. And I don't say we as in we have kids. Gus is graduated from doggy school at this point, but our nieces and nephews, we have a dozen, and they're growing up in a time that is so vastly different, where an algorithm is telling them what to believe, what to feel, how to feel.
Yeah, and Ingen in the chat room says being a teenager was hard enough before social media. I'm dreading when my daughters start to deal with that. And Ingen's kids are just small.
Yeah,
now, you know.
young kids. Our nieces and nephews are that age, and it's so hard to now be in this position where we've sort of, Kim and myself have sort of realized, like, wow, we get caught up in our screens or whatever the apps are telling us to sort of get caught up in, whether that's, man, I'm angry at this one thing, or this is really getting me heated, or I'm really passionate about this other thing. And finally finding a place where we can take a step back and go, wait, why is this affecting me in this way? And being able to identify that, oh, the more I find myself searching for these things or finding these things, the more it gives me those things. So my anger and rage are just compounded. You teaching that to your kids now, it will have a lasting effect, even though it may not look like
an
it.
uphill battle.
It may, uphill battle, but holy crap, like, way to set an example and way to have these conversations in an open way, Sally. Like this show is always full of, you know, like fun and lighthearted and pumpkin and all that stuff. But I'm having a really, really
it's just right there. It's like it's been in your hand the whole time.
I just, you know,
non-sponsor.
non-spawn.
But pumpkin, big pumpkin, if you're out there and you'd like to sponsor Ginger Runner Live.
Big Pumpkin. Tonight's show is sponsored by Big Pumpkin. Speaking of algorithms, algorithms. Okay, that's the end. I'm just really appreciative to have a conversation like what we're having tonight, because it is so easy to talk about just surface stuff and to have great lighthearted conversations, because that's what friends do, and that's okay, and that's what we do on the show. But tonight, like Sally, I feel like I'm really getting to know you, and I'm really, really happy that we're having this conversation, because this is stuff that Kim and I talk about all the time, like day to day. We talk about it on Daily Brew, our daily live stream. I'm just flinging things around now. I'm just into it.
Flip the desk.
Sugar high, Kim. But I appreciate you being so open and honest about it, and I love that is something you thought about, where you're seeing what's happening and you're realizing, what can I do that can help shift this focus or move the dialogue in a more positive direction, a more educational direction, a more empowering direction. And whether that is through an app or through a podcast or whatever content you might be putting out there, it is crucially important now. And I love that you're doing it. The app is Sally McRae Strength. You can get it in the App Store. As Sally mentioned, you can go to her Instagram.com/@YellowRunner, and there's a link tree with the link there. What can we expect to find in the app?
Yeah, so right now I have several different categories in the app. So you can go in and you can do mobility. There's mobility routines in there. So some of the workouts, you literally do the whole workout with me. So I'm talking to you the whole time as we roll through the whole workout. There's post-run strength routines. There's like total body strength routines, so much longer ones like injury prevention. I think one of my favorite categories is the runner's foundation. And really the routines that are under that category just have to do with the basics of building a strong runner's body. So, and all of those are without weights. It's all about movement control, balance, and especially for those of you that are trail runners or just ultra athletes who are on your feet for a really long time. I am basically rolling out all the workouts that I've done pretty much my entire career that have helped keep me strong and injury free and able to move on the trails like fast. So then at the end of this year, we're going to be rolling out a lot more running workouts. So where you can put me in your ears and then you just go outside and you can run with me and I talk to you. There's 2 workouts in there right now. They're outdoor workouts, but there's a fartlek one in there. And then there's like a beginner, like run walk program. And then I have a whole section where I have like a community. There's like a vlog where I do stuff from my home. I do like little videos on nutrition and just say hi and just be myself in my house. And then let's see what else is in it. We're going to be doing a 30-day run strength challenge. So that one is an everyday programmed 30-day workout. And that's rolling out. The signups for that start on November 1st. It's $1. So if you're in the app, you already get it, but you can join the app for 1 month if you just want to test it out and do the run strength. So every single day you get a workout with me, and it's a run strength routine. It basically teaches you how to incorporate strength into your running program. Because I'd say that's probably one of the biggest questions that people have. They want to do strength, but they don't know how to do it, how much to do, when to do it. And I think that still is a pretty actually controversial topic. I think that you're going to hear a lot of different opinions from coaches. Like I was saying earlier, you definitely are going to have coaches that are like, never pick up a weight. I don't want my, I want my runners to look like stags, not tigers, so, but then we're starting to see a shift too. I'm starting to see a lot in the social media, more and more people talking about strength, and magazines rolling out strength workouts for runners, which I love.
Yep.
So that's kind of what the 30-day challenge is just kind of educating and helping people navigate that. But yeah.
It's awesome. And I mean, I know that you said that Eddie now works with you full time. So how has that dynamic been as a married couple who works together every single day and has learned to love every second of it? I can't say Kim's loving this moment.
Fear in your eyes.
We love this, right? You love me, right?
We love this, Sally.
Everything's fine, Sally. Everything is good. How has it been going?
You know what? It's been awesome. Eddie and I work together really well. Just our personalities are totally different. So he's the kind of guy that like I had to convince to even get an Instagram. He got one when we moved to Bend. So and that was to take pictures of trees and water. Like I'm not like every day, like he would literally send me a picture every day. He had like a 1 mile drive to work where he was teaching. And every day he'd send me a picture of deer. And at first I was like, oh, that's so cute. And then after like several months, I'm like, you like really love deer.
You sent me a picture of a deer yesterday.
I did. I just really love deer. He just wouldn't leave me alone.
Like so love deer. But anyway, that's just how that's my husband. Like he loves just like the simple things, and he's a little bit quieter. He doesn't like to be in front of the camera. He doesn't like any attention. And lately I've been posting more because we are working together. And my comment is always poor Eddie, because I'm just like always like dancing around and like in the gym. We're always doing crazy stuff. And he's just like, oh my gosh. But we've been together since we were 19. So he's very familiar with who I am and how.
I feel like you've been this way as long as I've known you. Like very positive. It's not like this is all of a sudden a new Sally.
But we actually used to. We started working together when we were 19. So we were both youth counselors together, and then we were both soccer coaches together at summer soccer camps. And then we did quite a bit of traveling. He and I have done a lot of orphan care work over the years. So traveling to other countries, and that's kind of been just like the way that we've always connected, is working with youth and teaching and coaching in some capacity. So he's actually like an incredible coach, not running, but in soccer and things like that. So us working together is amazing because all of his strengths are absolutely my weaknesses. So he's so good at, he loves to sit and organize things. So he does all of the finances, thank goodness. But if I need something, then he'll find a way and he'll set it up. He'll create it. He'll make it. He orders equipment. He helps me with all the video content, photo content. And then he is now acting as my agent and manager. So he does all of that stuff. So setting up interviews and going through contracts and having meetings. That's been a huge blessing, which is another reason why I've been able to create more.
Yeah.
Because all that stuff took up so much of my time. And so he allows me to create, and he's very organized. So he keeps me on task, which he has to do quite a bit. But we have such a great time. He's my best friend. So of course it's like that also helps too. I mean, I know it's not for everyone. I have several married friends that are like, there is no way in hell I'd ever work with my spouse. Which is fine, because there's 4 different types of partnerships. There's the romantic, the friendship, and what is the other one? I can't remember what the fourth one is, but Eddie and I very much have a good friendship, so it works.
I mean, yeah, when you find that right partnership that works in capacities of both marriage and career oriented things, when you are comfortable around that other person and free when you're with that other person, it just helps. I love hearing that it allows you to create more, which is sort of the ultimate goal of all of this. Speaking of which, the new podcast as well, like it allows you to do things like that. What can we expect with the new podcast? You have an episode out.
Yeah, Camille on Discord asked earlier, what topics can we expect to see upcoming on your new podcast?
Yeah. So the podcast Choose Strong, the tagline is strong mind, strong body, strong love. And I pretty much it's two parts. So it isn't always going to be with a guest. Like I did want to create it to be more intimate with my listeners. So sometimes it'll just be a little like 10, 15 minute talk straight to the listener, but I do have some guests lined up too. So sometimes I'll have those conversations, but really it's storytelling, it's encouragement. I talk about all things running, a lot of like mental motivation type conversation, like the mental side of training and just how that plays into every part of your life. So there's a lot of topics about that. But one of my leading topics that I'm going to be doing first, it's a 3-part series on the body. So I kind of tackle all of those topics, a little bit of what we talked about today, and just the way that we can just be better about talking about our bodies. But yeah, my hope is that it will bring encouragement to people. My hope is just to connect on a deeper level. My hope is to put out good, positive, just information. I think I want people to open up the podcast and feel like that as if we were sitting across the table from each other, and that they feel like that a friend is just talking to them. So that's really the direction I'm going. That first podcast, it's an intro one, so it's only I think 11, 12 minutes, and I talk about what the podcast is going to entail and what you can expect. So you can find it, Apple, Spotify, all that stuff, it's up there. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm hoping that maybe we can turn it into more of a YouTube show, but I think right now it's just going to be audio. And Eddie's the one that set all that up. It was something that I've been wanting to do for a while, but it was so overwhelming to me, all the equipment and the audio. I was like, no. And I just don't like to do things that are mediocre. That really frustrates me. And so I had tried actually a couple times, and the audio was just so bad. I was like, nope, I'm not going to do it. So thankfully Eddie figured all that out and got all the equipment and made a little sound room. And so
it's awesome to see all these new paths, because I have known you this whole time and you've always talked about these new avenues, and to see them actually come to fruition and to see you actually doing them is awesome.
Thank you.
Sally, we're so proud of you. We're so thankful to know you, and you're such a gift to so many, us included. So we really appreciate you taking the time out tonight too, to just sit and chat with us and have a really good heartfelt conversation about some things that maybe we aren't talking enough about, whether even on the show or just in social media or with our families and friends in general.
Kids.
Yeah. So thank you, Sally. We really appreciate you.
You guys are so awesome. You guys have been so encouraging over the years, and just have been always in my best interest. And that means a lot to me. I think I was telling Eddie earlier, one of the greatest things about him working with me is that I trust him. And both you guys know, when you're in the entertainment or sports industry long enough, you know that, man, it gets hard sometimes finding people that you can really trust, and people that are true to who they are. And it's been a long road. I think that's also why I haven't done some of these things, because you think you have somebody's support, or you think like a team of people are really care about you and your dreams, and you're like, oh, you don't. Like, all you care about is your own selfish gain and like how it's going to benefit you or what it means to you. And so it's been hard. I'd say, I've had a lot of seasons where I've just really struggled with just trusting people in my work and the things that I want to put out, and even just the way that I'm portrayed. That's a little piece of it too, is like, I want to take what's mine and own it because it's
Control
mine.
it.
Yeah.
my story. This is actually how it's supposed to be told, not how you edited it. Not how, if I sat down and interview someone, I can't tell you how many times and just interviews that are out there that twice have made me burst into tears because I'm like, wow, that is super disgusting that that's the way that you did it because you wanted it to fit a narrative. You wanted to fit a cheap narrative and make me look a certain way. And that's been painful over the years. That stuff that I can't take down, stuff that I can't remove, it's going to be out on the internet.
Yeah.
And just knowing that, who you are as a person, like, can I trust these people that I work with? Are these people really my friend? Like these people I thought were my friends for so long. It's hard, but like I said, Ethan, I know you know what I'm talking about. And the business world, entertainment, sports, it can be cold sometimes. And so once again, I'm like, I want to start a better conversation. Like I want to own my work, but I also want to stay, like, I want to keep that positive forward movement and know that, we're always going to deal with junk. You're always going to have negativity, criticism. There's always going to be people that, you're going to get hurt. And if that's any reason not to do something, which has been my reason many times in my life, then, I'm going to stop living. I'm going to miss out. I'm going to, I don't want to be afraid. And so I think that's what I'm doing now. It's like, I'm not going to be afraid to put out stuff that is mine, that I own, that I can kind of choose the narrative for. And it's exciting.
I didn't know that you had gone through those types of things, and that breaks my heart because I know all too well have a connection with the entertainment industry, and I know that the sports world is an even like smaller circle of that same realm. It's hard, and taking control of your own narrative and taking control of your own anything is one of the most difficult things to do in this business because it's a risk. It's a huge risk. I mean, just look at a musician working with a record label versus a musician working on their own. It is, of course, they'll have better chances of success working through a record label, but man, they don't own anything and they'll go broke and they won't be able to feed their family and that sort of thing. It's not just all finances. It's just creativity and owning your own story. So it's a risk, but it's also one that I will always admire. Kim and I always appreciate anyone who takes a chance on themselves, and whether that's moving, relocating, trying something new,
relocating again,
fixing up a house. And you still have it? Are you renting it out? Can we have it?
We can we have it?
Well, at first I didn't want it. I cried. I was like bawling when we were leaving. And I was like, remember I was standing in Eddie's arms and I was like, no one's ever made something so pretty for me before.
It's
like,
nice. Yeah.
We've never been able to own. Like, it's just, that was a dream come true. We found this little house that we were able to fix up. And so that part was hard. But when we came back, CIF, which is like the sports organization here, penalized Mackenzie for a month and wouldn't let her race because it wasn't ready. Yeah. So I was like, what? She can't race? They're like, no, because you could technically still go back to Bend and race. And I was like, what? We've been down here for months. And so I flew up and within 2 days got somebody in there. So it was, that part was really hard because it was like, finished it and I was like, still like, maybe we'll come back. Maybe we could still keep it. Like half the year we're up there. But it was like, no, you need to rent it out if you want your daughter to run. So that was without question. Of course, you're going to rent it.
Well, they're very lucky tenants. And one, because it's a beautiful place, but also because they have the best landlords, to be honest. It's us, by the way. Everyone's surprised. Kim and I, this is it. We painted the wall.
We have all the pumpkin things.
It's all just Sally's leftovers. There's nothing in the boxes. Not sponsored. We're going to wrap up our main show there with Sally McRae. It is a wonderful privilege and honor to have her on the show once again. There's so many different routes we could have continued with the conversation tonight. We will do a little bit in our after show with Sally. So if you'd like to join our after show conversation,
Maybe we'll touch on Badwater.
Maybe we'll touch on Badwater in the after show. But you can join our after show by heading over to patreon.com/thegingerrunner. Sally, can you just remind people where they can find anything that we talked about tonight? Links, follow you on social, all that stuff. Where can they find it?
You can go to sallymcrae.com. You'll find all the links there to everything. If you're on Instagram, just go in my bio. My link tree is in there. But those are the two best ways to follow me and keep up with me. So thank you.
Fantastic. Again, our guest tonight, Sally McRae, the one, the only. We'll move into our after show here in just a couple of seconds. But first, we do have a segment on our show where we like to recognize members of the community who go above and beyond. We call it our GR Crew Member of the Week. Kim, who is this week's GR Crew Member?
This week's GR Crew Member of the Week is Mubarak.
Yes.
And Mubarak took on a big challenge, and Mubarak ran around Phuket, Thailand. So it was 197.5 kilometers, and he did it in 48 hours and 43 minutes. And we had a look at Mubarak's tracking, and it's pretty crazy to zoom in on the map and look to see where he ran.
Yeah, Mubarak out of Qatar basically traveled to Phuket, ran around Phuket on his own. Was it his own FKT? Or
Yeah,
he
I think
basically
so.
set the FKT of running around the entire island of Phuket, 197 kilometers. Well done, Mubarak, on being our GR Crew Member of the Week.
Very cool.
That is it for tonight's show. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into Ginger Runner Live episode number 375. We're moving right into the after show with Sally McRae. We hope that you are getting out there, training hard, racing harder, and partying the hardest. We know we are.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next week. Bye.
Ginger Runner.